Hi, Patty. Shabbat shalom. Yalai lalai lalai yalai lalai lalai yalai lalai yalai lalai yalai lalai lalai yalai lalai lalai yalai lalai yalai lalai yalai lalai yalai lalai lalai yalai la 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 ya la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Shabbat shalom. Welcome back to Temple Israel, everyone. It's great to see you guys sitting in front of me, looking back at me here, and it's great to have everybody joining us on StreamSpot to begin Shabbat this week. We begin with the blessing over the Shabbat candles. I invite everyone to please rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav V'tzivanu lehadlik ner V'tzivanu lehadlik ner V'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat. Shabbat shalom. May be seated. We begin Kabbalat Shabbat, the service welcoming in the day of rest on page 11. Let us go and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. Filled with thanks, let us greet God as we raise our voices in song. Page 11, Lechuner Anina. Lechuner Anina, Lechuner Anina, Lechuner Anina, Ladonai. Lechuner Anina, Lechuner Anina, Lechuner Anina, Ladonai. Naria, Naria, Litzur Yishenu Nekadma Fana Betoda. Naria, Naria, Litzur Yishenu Pizmirot Naria Lo. Lechuner Anina, Lechuner Anina, Lechuner Anina, Ladonai. Lechuner Anina, Lechuner Anina, Lechuner Anina, Ladonai. Arba'im shana kut bedor v'amar am to'e levavhem v'hem lo yadeu derachai asher nishpati v'yapi im yevo'un el menuchati. Page 13, sing to Adonai, a new song, sing to Adonai all the earth. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, Shiru l'Adonai baruchu shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato, sapru v'goyim kevodo, bechol ha'amim nifleotav, ki gadol Adonai, umulal me'od norahu al kol Elohim ay ki kol Elohei ha'amim elilim va'adonai shamayim asa hod v'hadar lefanav oz betiferet b'mikdasho havu l'Adonai mishpechot ha'amim havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz havu l'Adonai kevod shemo Seu mincha ובואו לחצרותיו, ישתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש, חילו מפניו כל הארץ. אמרו בגויים, אדוני מלך, הבטיקון תבל בעל תימות, ידין עמים במישרים, ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ. ירם הים ומלוא, יעלו שדי וכל אשר בו, אז ירננו כל עצי יער לפני אדוני, כי בא לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק ועמים באמונתו. ילאי ללאי לאי ללאי ילאי לאי 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 יאי לאי 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 יאי לאי לאי לאי. We continue on page 20, the final 3 lines of the page, Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. We turn to page 23 as we welcome the Shabbat Kala, the Shabbat bride, with Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad hishmi'anu, el ha'meyuchad Adonai echad, u'shemo echad l'shem ultiferet ve'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha Dodi likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Mikdash melech yirmelucha akum mitzei mitoch ha'hafecha arav lach shevet b'yemek habacha v'hu yachamol alai chemla. Lecha Dodi likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hi na'arim afarku mi'livshi bigdei tifartecha mi'al yad ben yishai beit halachmi korba el nafshi ge'ala. Lecha Dodi likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri kiva orech kumi ori uri shir daberi kevod Adonai, alaich nigla lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela, lo tevoshi velo tikami mati shtochachi, umatemi bach yechesu aniei ami, venivneta ir al tila lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela, vehayu lim shisa shosayich beracha kukol, mevalayich yasis alayich Elohayich kimsos chatan chatan al kala, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela, yaminu smol tifrotzi v'et Adonai taritzi al yadi shpen partzi v'nismecha v'nagila lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela, boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvetzola tochem uneam segula, boi chala lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela. May be seated. Turn to page 27, a song for the day of Shabbat. Mizmor shir, shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Mizmor shir, shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Tov lo dot l'Adonai l'zamer l'shimcha elyon. Ki simachtan yarem v'alecha b'ma'asetecha. Ki hinei avecha neged. Tzadikat amar yifrach, ki erez balvanon yizkeh, shetulim beveit Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun beseva, teshenim verananim yiu lehagid, ki ashar Adonai tzuri velo avlatapo. Page 29. Adonai malach keyud lavesh and Hazel. Eidotecha nemnu meod leveitcha navakodesh. Eidotecha nemnu meod leveitcha navakodesh. Adonai leorech yamim. We now turn to our prayers of healing. We think of those in our lives in need of physical and spiritual well-being. Tonight in our prayers, we think of Rav Yaakov Chai ben Hadassah, Shimon ben Yaakov Mordechai ben Naomi, Devorah bat Sarah, Herschel Yehoshua ben Malka, Perel bat Rezel, Dov ben Ita, Shmuel Yaakov ben Kalia ve'Ari, Devorah Rachel, Malka bat Sarah, Leib Yisrael ben Tzipora, Aliza Meira bat Leah, Tzivya bat Chana, Sarah bat Chaya, Chanoch Yitzchak ben Sarah, Sarah bat Shendel, Raphael ben Perel, Chaim Yitzchak ben Gittel Fagel, Elijah Avila, Yafa Fega bat Zissel Bina, Mabel Tannenbaum, Kathy Berlin, Philip LaMancha, Irene Janet Locker, David Shmuel ben Chaim Beryl, Joanne Cameron, Chana Shifra bat Moshe Vibluma, Avraham David ben Liba, Robert Isser, Miriam Daniela bat Areli Vimoshe, Phyllis Keller, Malka bat Elik, Daniel ben Yisrael, Azi Yitzchak ben Eliezer Shammai Halevi Velavi Tzameret, David ben Esther Ve'ezra, Aver Yitzchak, Sam Kaplan, Bonnie Meyerson, Tova bat Rivka, Harav Meir Chana ben Baruch Veleah. If you are praying for someone today, I invite you to rise and share the names when I come to you. Ve'et kol hacholim, and all those who are ill, please join me in the Mishberach prayer for healing. Mishberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We turn in the Siddur to page 30, and I invite those in mourning or marking a yortzeit to please rise and join me in the words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divera kirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lomei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha prichu le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata damiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. May be seated. Shabbat shalom. Margaret Keenan, known to her family as Maggie, worked at a jewelry shop as a jewelry shop assistant until her late 80s. Originally from Northern Ireland, she has lived in Coventry in England for the last 6 decades and is now 91 years old. The mother of 3 and grandmother of 4 has always been beloved by her family, but she made history at 91 years old on December 8th, 2020, just over a year ago, when she was the first person to receive an approved vaccine against COVID-19 outside of clinical trials. A year later, she remembered, at the time I wasn't feeling good, but once I got that jab and things started to be better, so I had a wonderful year. Now, she walks in the streets of her city, and she is recognized by everyone there. People meet me in the street, she says, and they say, thank God for you, because I wasn't going to have this jab. And it's lovely to hear that, she said. Even young people come up to me. While the 13 months that have passed since Maggie Keenan made history have not gone nearly as well as she and all of us had hoped for, it doesn't decrease the amazing effects of her bravery last December when she chose to do something that nobody else had ever done and that many people were scared of. Maggie Keenan is what we would call in Jewish tradition a Nachshon. Nachshon, the son of Aminadab's name, does not appear in tomorrow's Torah portion of Bishalach, but Jewish legend gives him an important role in the story of the splitting of the Red Sea. The Torah portion opens as the Israelites march triumphantly out of slavery in Egypt and begin their journey toward the land of Israel. Yet they are not fully free of Pharaoh, because barely have they begun their march when Pharaoh again changes his mind and summons his mighty cavalry to chase after them. The Egyptians catch up with the Jewish people at the Yam Suf. We often translate it as the Red Sea, really more correctly, the Sea of Reeds. And they trap them between the oncoming horses and chariots on one side and deep water on the other. There's nowhere for Moses and the Jews to run, and death awaits them in either direction. Excuse me. At this point, the people panic, and for the first of many times, they accuse Moses of leading them into the wilderness to die. When Moses turns to God for help, God tells Moses to stretch out his arm over the sea and tells the Israelites to march forward. The sea splits, and the Jewish people cross through on dry land. But as soon as the Egyptians follow them in, the water comes crashing back down and drowns all of the Egyptians. When the Jewish people turn around and see that they finally have nothing more to fear from Pharaoh, they break into joyful song led by Moses and Miriam. And because of their song, which is recorded in the Torah, and which gives us the line we know so well, Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, this Shabbat, the Shabbat of Parshat Bishalach, is known as Shabbat Shira, or the Shabbat of Song. Well, Nachshon's name doesn't appear anywhere in this story, but the Talmud teaches that without him, the miracle at the sea would not have taken place. The people, the Talmud teaches, would not move forward because they could not imagine walking into the sea. Who would do such a thing? But Nachshon had faith that God would not let them die, so he just walked forward right into the water. And only when the water reached his nose does Moses stretch out his arm and does God split the sea. God, we are meant to understand from the story, would only help the people who were willing to take a leap of faith and try to help themselves. So whenever someone is the first to do something brave or something difficult, we think of them as a Nachshon, as a trailblazer. I learned a new usage of that word today, actually, from our congregant, Menachem Mei Zahav's wonderful Parsha emails, and he shared that in Israel's War of Independence, the pivotal military operation to open up the road to the besieged city of Jerusalem was named Mivtza Nachshon, or Operation Nachshon, because of its bravery and its trailblazing nature. Well, Maggie Keenan, who I mentioned before, is a Nachshon, but like the original Nachshon, things did not work out as well as she would have liked. In the Torah, the Israelites may have been saved at the sea, but we, looking in hindsight, know that they would still face 40 years of wandering before making it to their new home in Israel. Maggie Keenan may have inspired countless millions of people to get vaccinated, to protect themselves, to stand up in a world where there was little to do. But it did not end the pandemic as we all so desperately hoped. Being a Nachshon, being a person like that, is hard specifically because you do not know if your choice will succeed, if it will succeed short-term, if it will succeed long-term. And yet we learn from all of the Nachshons that it's still worthwhile to take those chances. It's so easy to feel dispirited now, to feel that there is no going forward in the face of just an overwhelming amount of sickness around us. But it's exactly at moments like this that we look to inspirational people to remind us that we can still take chances, that we can still work to bring that better world into being. Shabbat Shalom. We turn ahead to page 39, and I invite you to please rise for the Baruch at the beginning of the Maori service. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed. May be seated. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons, and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from before the light. Uma'avir yom u'me'evi laila, Mavdil ben yom u'ben laila, Adonai tzivaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, Tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Hamari v'aravim. Page 40, Ahavat olam Yisrael ahavta, Torah mitzvot. Ki hem chayeinu v'yorech yameinu, uvahem negeh yomam v'halayla v'yavatecha. Al tasir mimenu leolamim, Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levavcha, v'chol nafshecha, u'v'chol me'odecha, v'hayu hadevarim ha'ele, Asher Anochi Metzavecha Hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha V'dibarta bam V'shiftecha bebeitecha Uvlechtecha v'derech Uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha Ukshartam leod al yadecha V'hayu letotafot bein einecha Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha. Continue on page 42. Adonai Elohechem Emet B'emunah kol zor v'kiyam aleinu ki hu ana Eloheinu Hasam nafshenu Hamad yuchenu abamad avim Hamavir banav ben gizrei amsu V'rodfeihem v'etzoneihem b'tomot tiba V'ra'u banav kivurato Shibechu v'hodu lishmo Machuto beratzon kibelu aleihem Moshe u'Miriam u'bnei Yisrael Lecha anu shira V'simcha rabba V'yameru chulam Mi chamocha bo'elim Adonai Mi kamocha nedar ba'kodesh Nora tehilot osefele Malchutecha ra'u banecha Bokeyam lifnei Moshe Zeli anu v'yameru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed V'ne'emar kifada Adonai et Yaakov U'gyalo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Kal Yisrael. Let's turn to page 45 and let's pray together the Vainu, the nighttime prayer in the English on the left-hand side of the page. Allow us, Adonai our God, to sleep peacefully. Awaken us to life, O Sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace. Restore us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us. Remove from us enemies, pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you, God, watch over and deliver us, and you, God, are sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over us, over all the people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Ushmor tzeiteinu vo'enu lechaim u'shalom me'ata v'ad olam uferos aleinu sukat shalomecha baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim. Page 46, please rise as we join together for Vishamru. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Vainu v'bnei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Vayom ha-shvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah Yamadi v'rakirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael agala b'agala uv'izman kariv yimeru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olam me'omaya yitbarach yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yit'ale v'yithalal Shemei dekudesha Le'ela min kober chata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata tamiran v'alma v'meru. Amen. We spend the next few moments in silent prayer with the words of the Amidah, beginning on page 47. We continue on page 53 at the bottom of the page, one of the beautiful prayers of the Kabbalat Shabbat service, of the Friday night service, Magen Avot, a prayer that summarizes the themes of the Amidah that came before it, bottom of page 53. Magen Avot bidvaro mechaye metim b'ma'amaro ha'el hakadosh ein kamohu hameniach li'amo b'yom Shabbat kodsho kivam ratza le'aniach lahem kivam ratza le'aniach lahem lefanav navod b'yirav afachad v'nodeh lishmo b'chol yom tamid me'ein haberachot hel hahod hahod adon hashalom mekadesh hashabat u'mvarech shevi umeniach bikedusha le'amedu shnei oneg zecher lemase vereshit. Page 54, Kaddish Shalem. Yitkara v'yitkadash shemer rabba B'yalma divra kirutei v'amlich malchutei b'chayechon v'mechon v'chayrecho beit Yisrael pagala v'zman kari v'immeru amen yehi shmei rabba mevorach le'olam lo me'omaya yitbarach Yishtabach, V'yitpar, V'yitraman, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitalev, V'yitalash, V'yitkuresha, Brichu, Le'elam, Kol Berachata, V'shirata, Tush Berachata, V'nechemata, Namiran, V'yama, V'yimmeru, Amen. Titkabal, Slot Honavarton, Necho Yisrael, Karama, V'ndi V'shmaya, V'yimmeru, Amen. Yehesh Lamar, V'amin Shemaya, V'chaima, V'kol Yisrael, V'yimmeru, Amen. Ose shalom, shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom. Ose shalom, shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu. Israel ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom, shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom. Page 55, we rise for Kiddush. I invite anyone younger than bar mitzvah age who'd like to join me on the bima to come on up and get a cup of grape juice. Come on up. Come on, Nate. Be a little patient. And hold it up. Savri Maranan Vrabanan Vrabotai Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddeshanu mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'yahava v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim ki vanu v'charta v'yotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha b'yahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. Cheers. A refill. You guys, we continue with Aleinu on page 56. Good job. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol la'tekedu la'liotzer breshit shelo asanu kigoye aratzot velo samanu kimishbachor ha'adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim mishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim v'yoser haaretz umoshev yekaro b'shamayim imal u'shchinatu zo b'govhei meromim hu Eloheinu ein od emet malkeinu efes ulato kakatu betorato v'yadata ayom v'hashivota el levavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim imal v'al haaretz mitachar enod al ken akav l'chalirot mehev. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. May be seated. We turn to page 58 for the mourner's Kaddish. This Shabbat, we mark the yortzites of Anne Ettlinger, Lee Roach, Gerald Cantor, Philip Gold, Harry Brenner, S.A. Happy Schloss Jr., Robert Leader, Sterna Braver, Freda Lappin, Norman Steinman, Gisela Weinberg, Dr. Gerald Gentis, Samuel Wolfe, Edward Kronsberg, Doris Wittes, Howard August, Minnie Kritzer, Albert Kosov, Morris Fuchs, Israel Gordon, Eva Van Glish, Robert Fisher, Bob Markman, Paul Brothers, Eugene Brenner, Rebecca Sovatsky-Raznik, Irving Golub, Augusta Ellis, Josephine Cohen, Anna Schoen, Ben Jaffa Jr., Edith Levine, James Poyner, Ina Playuko Saitlina, Scott Gutstein, Leonard Fine, and Florence Paul. We also extend condolences to families in the midst of Shiva and Shloshim following the death of a loved one, to Stuart Siegel for the passing of his wife, Pam Siegel, to Maureen Brody for the passing of her mother, Shirley Noble, and just this week to Greg and Brett Steinberger, and to Gail Halverson for the passing of Norman Steinberger. We turn to page 58, and I invite those in mourning or marking a yortzeit to rise and join me in the Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad yivera kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon u'v'chayed chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'yimru amen, yehei shemei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olameo maya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha b'richu le'ela minko berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran v'yalma v'imru amen yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen oseh shalom b'mromav V'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. may be seated. I'm happy to call on Tom Bach with some words of greeting on behalf of the Temple Israel Board of Trustees.
Shabbat Shalom. All right, thank you, Rabbi Wolk, for leading us in services this evening and for your silky voice in leading the singing. And I thought for a second you can also jump in there for a little, piano action, but
Tickle the keys a little bit.
tickle the ivory.
I haven't developed that skill yet.
Next time. Also, thank you to Al and Jonathan for filling in for our AV action this evening. Join us for services tomorrow in the main sanctuary at 9:30 for Shabbat Shira. Please note, Sunday morning minyan this weekend will be virtual via Zoom only. Join Rabbi Wolk for Jews and Brews on Thursday, January 20th at 10 a.m. Temple Israel will be participating in a Greater Charlotte Community Initiative welcoming Afghan allies and refugees to their new homes in Charlotte. Social Action, chaired by Jonathan and Steinberger, will be providing 20 welcome tea baskets in the next 2 weeks and are seeking monetary contributions. Please provide a basket by donating $100 to Temple Israel Social Action. Funds in any amount are needed to make our newly arrived Afghan families feel at home in their new country. I will say this was a personal for us as well. I know my lovely bride spent a good chunk of yesterday. We bought a whole bunch of food and along with a lot of our neighbors. And these refugees, she's going to deliver them tomorrow. These refugees are really poorly off. They're staying in a hotel and they need all the help and food and other supplies. So hopefully you can contribute. It's a great cause. Please support the Jewish Federation of Greater Charlotte's main event on Wednesday, January 19th by purchasing a ticket to attend the event virtually or in person at Temple Israel. Send any questions to Sam Bernstein. Do you have a child or grandchild interested in Jewish summer camp? Temple Israel has summer camp scholarships. The Bela and John Pransky and the Shai Richardson Camp scholarships are available, and we encourage families to apply. Applications are due by January 31st. For information and to download the applications, see templeisraelnc.org/summer camp scholarships or your Temple Israel weekly email blast for a link. On Wednesday evening, starting in February, Rabbi Kornsgold, Director of Congregational Education, will be teaching Lifelong Learning, Introduction to Judaism, in collaboration with the Miller Introduction to Judaism program of the American Jewish University. This class is open to both members and non-members of Temple Israel. The cost covers books and the Miller collaboration. Financial aid is available. Please see our weekly Shabbat announcements, weekly email blast, and our website for upcoming religious services, educational, social, and tzedakah opportunities for congregants of all ages. And if you missed any of this, want to hear it again, tomorrow David Rosenthal is going to deliver the same one. So,
He'll put his spin
he'll put his own spin on it. I don't know if it's going to be as good as this one, but we'll tune in to find out. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Thank you, Tom. And I'll just elaborate a little more on what Tom said about the baskets for the Afghan refugees that Tess and Jonathan Berger are organizing. There was an article in the Charlotte Observer online, I think yesterday, and in print today, about a local refugee resettlement agency that has not been fulfilling its obligations to people that they have resettled in Charlotte. And a group of mothers in Charlotte on Facebook of all different faiths organized together to help fill in the needs of all of these new people who have joined us as our neighbors in Charlotte. And the baskets that they are asking houses of faith to put together are gifts for people who are coming in who either to, as Tom said, hotel rooms or sometimes bare apartments with nothing in them, just so they have some taste of welcome. Specifically, these are tea baskets which have cultural significance for the Afghans who are coming in. And one of our congregants, Rochelle Walensky, has been really very active in spearheading this effort to welcome people to Charlotte and to make sure that they actually feel welcomed and are able to live as part of our city. So please encourage you to contribute to that. And Tess and Jonathan will be are collecting on behalf and then putting the baskets together as well. And if you'd like more information how to help, you can speak with them. We conclude with Shalom Aleichem. Let's turn back to page 5 in the Sidurim. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim Makadosh Baruch Hu, Moachem Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni Leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon, mi melech malchei amlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Shabbat shalom.